In focus today, we're heading to a turbulent corner of southwest Russia and to two majority Muslim republics. Last month, thousands living in Ingushetia poured onto the streets in rage after their leader agreed a land swap deal with his counterpart over the fence in Chechnya. But as our team has been finding out, that accord could well turn out to be fresh fuel for an already burning fire.
The latest demonstration in a long series against the decision to move Ingushetia's border with the neighboring Republic of Chechnya. The protesters' last hope is that Putin may side with them in their dispute with the Ingush leader, Yevgeny.
He handed tens of thousands of hectares to the Chechen president without consulting the Ingush people. There was no referendum.
For the past 100 or 150 years, they've been chopping bits off Ingushetia and handing them to the neighbors.
It's the first time in Ingushetia's history that we've had such big protests here, because land is the crucial issue for the Ingush people. And they feel insulted that the government dealt with this issue in secret and didn't consult them.
On the 26th of September, the Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov signed an agreement with his Ingush counterpart to firm up the border between their two republics. But the new border lops off 9% of what was Ingushetia's de facto territory at the fall of the USSR, and it was only 3,600 square kilometers even then. Since the movement started, Magomed has been to every protest. His family come from this area, near the Chechen border. They feel deeply attached to the region, their ancestral home.
My
father is buried here. My brother over there, and my two sons are also buried over there. My whole family is buried in this place, so for us, this land here is sacred.
This is a heavily militarized zone, and troops often enter the villages, ostensibly to try to root out Islamist fighters who took refuge in these hills after the Chechen wars. In 2015, Magomed's village was even shelled. He and his family fled their home here in fear for their lives.
Shell fragments ricocheted and went through the wall to the room right over there. When I spoke to the Ingush leader, he just said that we had to take responsibility for our own security.
We've received no information and not a kopeck in compensation. We were unhappy with the authorities then, but I got over that. But now, the way they've simply handed over Ingush land, to me, that's intolerable.
The Ingush leadership has at least been allowing the protests, but Magomed fears that repression could come from the other side. Chechen security forces have been known to make incursions here, across a border that has just got closer.
Security forces from the neighboring Chechen Republic left that for us after an anti-terrorist operation that they started in 2009. I think it's a deliberate message to make sure we remember them.
What are you afraid of?
We're afraid that Chechen security forces may show up here and treat us the same way they treat their own people.
Ramzan Kadyrov rules Chechnya with an iron fist. Human rights advocates accuse him of torture and summary executions. And he's already threatened the Ingush who've been protesting against the new border. We wanted to find out why the Chechen leader was so attached to this controversial border agreement. His information minister agreed to an interview.
In order to carry out our plans for the economy, for investment and in other sectors, this border has to exist. Without it, we won't be able to sign a single document concerning these lands.
The minister says the agreement's opponents are being used.
The people behind that, they want to break the fragile peace in the North Caucasus and Russia. They're taking advantage of the unprecedented economic and political pressure that Russia is currently under from Western countries.
Both Chechen and Ingush authorities have promised to develop agriculture and tourism in this region. As to the Ingush residents' objections to the border change, so far Vladimir Putin has not responded.